Boston Common, an iconic park in the heart of Boston, has always carried whispers of otherworldly presences. Its history, steeped in the tumultuous past of America, traps souls forever. On a chill October night, the eerie legends came alive. The sky was an iron gray, pressing down on the city. The wind hissed through the skeletal branches of the park's ancient elms, their leaves scattered like forgotten memories across the damp ground. Shadows danced in the moonlight, casting grotesque shapes that seemed to writhe and twist with a life of their own. As midnight approached, a thick fog rolled in from the Charles River, curling through the streets like spectral fingers. The common, normally bustling with life, was deathly silent, the usual laughter and chatter replaced by a profound stillness. The park transformed into a labyrinth of darkness and despair. In the heart of the common lay the Frog Pond, its surface now a mirror of dark glass, reflecting the gnarled branches above. The air grew colder as the fog thickened, and an unnatural chill settled over the area. Those who wandered into the park felt an indescribable unease, a sense of being watched by unseen eyes. The spirits of the past seemed to awaken, drawn to the living like moths to a flame. They emerged from the shadows, remnants of tragedies long forgotten. One such specter was a colonial soldier, his uniform tattered and stained with blood. He roamed aimlessly, reliving his final moments in a battle that had long since faded into history. His hollow eyes stared straight ahead, seeing nothing and everything all at once. Another ghost, a woman in a flowing white dress, drifted near the park's central monument. Her face was a mask of sorrow, her eyes perpetually filled with tears that never fell. She had been waiting for her lover, a sailor lost at sea, for over a century. Her ethereal form seemed to shimmer and fade, caught between the world of the living and the dead. The air grew heavy with the scent of decay, and a feeling of dread settled over the common like a shroud. The living could sense it, a primal fear that quickened their pulse and tightened their chests. Some tried to rationalize it, blaming the weather or their own imaginations, but the truth was far more sinister. Near the park's edge stood the central burying ground, a cemetery dating back to the 1700s. The gravestones, worn and weathered, stood like sentinels guarding the secrets of the past. Here, the spirits were most active, their whispers carried on the wind. They spoke of unfulfilled promises, of lives cut short, and of the deep, abiding sorrow that bound them to this place. A spectral fog seeped from the ground, coiling around the tombstones like a living thing. Faces appeared in the mist, their features twisted in anguish. These were the souls who could not move on, trapped in a perpetual cycle of despair. They reached out with ghostly hands, their touch as cold as the grave. As the night deepened, the temperature plummeted, and frost began to form on the grass and trees. The common took on an otherworldly glow, bathed in the pale light of the moon. The air hummed with energy, a low, thrumming vibration that seemed to emanate from the very ground itself. The spirits grew bolder, their forms becoming more distinct. They moved with a purpose, drawn to the living like moths to a flame. Some were benign, their presence a mere whisper on the wind, while others were malevolent, their anger and bitterness palpable. They sought to reclaim what had been taken from them, to find solace in the living world. A sense of foreboding settled over the park, a feeling that something terrible was about to happen. The trees swayed in a non-existent breeze, their branches creaking like old bones. The ground seemed to shift and heave, as if the earth itself was alive and breathing. From the depths of the common, a figure emerged. Tall and imposing, it seemed to absorb the light around it, casting a long dark shadow. This was no ordinary ghost, but a harbinger of doom, a spirit so powerful that it could bend reality to its will. It moved with a slow, deliberate grace, its eyes burning with an inner fire. The living who encountered this specter felt an overwhelming sense of dread, a terror that rooted them to the spot. Their breath came in short, panicked gasps, and their hearts hammered in their chests. The figure reached out with a skeletal hand, its touch as cold as death. Those who felt it were forever changed, haunted by nightmares and visions of the afterlife. As the night wore on, The spirits grew more restless, their energy building to a crescendo. The ground beneath the common began to tremble, a low, rumbling vibration that shook the very foundation of the city. The air was thick with the scent of earth and decay, and a low, mournful wail echoed through the park. From the shadows, more figures emerged, each one more terrifying than the last. They came from all walks of life, their stories etched into the fabric of the common. There was a child, his face pale and gaunt, his eyes wide with fear. He clutched a ragged teddy bear, his only comfort in the afterlife. There was a man in a top hat and tails, his face twisted in a rictus of pain. He had been a wealthy merchant, struck down in his prime by a rival's blade. The spirits moved as one, their collective sorrow and rage a palpable force. They circled the common, their forms flickering like candle flames. The living who dared to venture into the park were swept up in a maelstrom of emotions, their own fears and regrets laid bare. When the dawn finally broke, the common was silent once more. The spirits had been banished, their energy consumed by a dark, malevolent force. The ground was still, the air heavy with the scent of decay. The living who had ventured into the park were forever changed, haunted by nightmares and visions of the afterlife. Boston Common, a place of beauty and tranquility by day, had become a place of terror by night. The spirits of the past, bound to the park by ancient forces, would never find peace. Their stories, etched into the very fabric of the common, would continue to haunt the living for generations to come.